What is up, hammerheads? Welcome back to the Forge. Today we're continuing our basic knife making series here on the channel, and we're finishing out the file knife. Now, if you've done everything up until this point, your knife should have a yellowish brownish tint to the edge if you've tempered it right. You should have picked up your handle material, which I'm using walnut. And you should have your pen stock, which I'm just using a piece of stainless pen stock I had up here in the shop. I do want to make a quick correction that I had said in the last video and just misspoke. I don't use the Epoxy brand epoxy. I use the Loctite brand epoxy a lot. And I just want to make that clarification. I don't want you sitting there like, if you're looking at Walmart or, you know, one of the tool stores and you're like, where is this at? I use Loctite, not epoxy brand. I don't even know if there is an epoxy brand. So if you find it and it is out there and it works good, let me know. I use the Loctite brand a lot, and I use the Gorilla Glue brand. Both of those have worked very well for me. Like I said, they make other bigger bottles that I know are good. I just personally have not used them yet. All right, guys, we've got a lot of sanding we're going to be doing, a lot of shaping. Got to drill holes for the handles, split the handles, and I've got a kind of a couple cool techniques that we're going to use when we're drilling our holes. So guys, let's get started. Okay guys, so as you can see, as I'm drilling my holes for the pins, I always add a pin in every time I'm drilling holes.
so the material won't move around and I know everything stays lined up. Alright guys, so you can see that I'm drilling the holes for the other handle. And I like putting the pins in it. Generally I'll put them all the way down it, sometimes I don't. In the beginning, I try to put pins in all the holes so you know everything stays lined up. But I also leave the other scale a little bit bigger just in case something weird happens and the bit walks. So you kind of have like a little bit of a buffer to help you, and you don't have to redo all of your scales all over again. Now I do a lot of the cleanup sanding on the scales before I glue everything up, just to make sure there's no issues. Okay guys, so we're just freehand sanding here, and this is something I will say over and over again, is go very slow with this. Don't try to rush it, just take your time, or you will mess up your bevel. But with our bevels already being there, we can hold that angle the whole time and not have to really worry about things messing up, but still go slow just in case, you know, you bump your hand or something bumps you, and so you don't mess up that edge. Alright guys, this is a trick that I picked up from a YouTuber named Jimmy DiResta, that you split your epoxy syringe at the top so you can press out one side of the epoxy and then press out the other side, so you get an even mix. Sometimes they're not filled up exactly the way they need to be filled up, and when I started doing this, the epoxy measurements have been a lot more accurate. Oh yeah, just a heads up. It was something that I decided to do midways. Is I decided to put in 2 stainless pins and 1 brass pin. I just thought it looked neat. Okay guys, so if you have to use your hammer to tap everything down just to get everything good and tight because a pin's a little snug or something like that, tap. Don't hit hard. Just barely tap it. So we're just cleaning everything up right here, guys. Getting all the excess epoxy off, getting the pins ground down flat. And continue to keep the handle cool as you're doing this. That's what you see me do when I dip it in water, so the epoxy will stay good and cool. If it gets too hot, sometimes it'll push a pin out.
All right, guys, let's get real for a minute and talk about what all we've learned today. As if you can tell in the video, it's a few hours later from this morning whenever we started the knife. I had to let the epoxy set. Even though it's 5-minute epoxy, I like letting the epoxy set for a few hours so I know that it's good and hardened, so I don't have to worry about pins heating up and sliding out, or it just handles coming off and things like that. I like making sure it's good and glued. Now, I do want to apologize. While I was gluing up the handles, I didn't show me clamping it in the vise and throwing clamps on because I was trying to hurry because it is 5-minute epoxy. And as hot as it is where I'm at in Tennessee, it hardens up fast. It might not be completely cured, but it'll still, if you don't get it clamped fast enough, it will make it difficult to get everything set. But with that being said, I want to talk about 2 mistakes I made. Not really mistakes. One's a mistake, one's more of a housekeeping thing. I've already cleaned my hands, but you can see I have epoxy all over my fingers, on my fingernails, because I didn't wear gloves. I generally don't wear gloves a lot of times, mostly because I forget and I'm already in the process before it dawns on me. But if you don't wear gloves while you're doing this and you get epoxy on your hands, get some sawdust. It's a trick I picked up over the years. Some sawdust, some dirt, something, and rub it all over your hands real good. It'll adhere to that real well, and then when you go and wash your hands, it comes off a lot easier, unless you have really thick spots like I do on a couple of my spots on my hands. Also, when you're working with walnut, and I haven't worked with walnut in a while because I forgot, if you get it good and wet, the tannins do still come out and will turn your hands black. I was looking at my hands earlier and go, why are they purple? And it dawned on me what it was. So just kind of a housekeeping note there. One thing I did forget to do, and I wanted to show, was I forgot to put tape on our blade. And now you can't see it, but there is epoxy that spilt over onto the blade. And I'll take a wire brush or get on a wire wheel and clean that out just for cosmetic purposes, really. It's not going to hurt anything, but I want the knife blade to look good. But all in all, guys, our knife is complete. Now, if you get tear out like you see right here on this pin, make sure that's in focus. I don't know if you can see it or not, but tear out like right there on that brass pin. You can do some filler. I picked up from a YouTuber. His name is Jimmy DeResta. He was showing how to make filler if you have a tear out or a piece breaks or something or cracks. Take your epoxy and mix it with some of your sawdust and make a paste, and then put it in there and sand it, and it cleans it up really well. You can't really tell. And you can also see that I have a cut mark right here. I leave those because the type of knives that I make and the design that I have is actually something me and a friend of mine named, and they're ugly by design. Meaning I leave forged scale, I leave hammer marks, I leave the handles a little rough because I want them to look like they've been used for hundreds of years. I just like that style. If you want to go up to 1,000 grit and polish everything, that's your style. I personally like the mountain man, bushcraft, you know, just kind of a, I want to get out in the woods and use it knife. I don't want something that's just going to sit on a mantle or sit somewhere in a case and just be stared at. Have fun making the blades. I'd love to see your knives. So if you want to tag me on Facebook or tag me on Instagram, I'm on both. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And hope you enjoyed the video, guys. See you on the next one. God bless. Keep hammering.